What's up, guys? Back here with another college football video already. It is time for me to predict Week 7 with picks and score predictions for those games. Guys, the season's going by in a hurry. If you guys like this stuff overall, please like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And let's get straight into it, guys. I have quite a few games to pick. Last week, I think I did all right picking the games. It was another week where I missed quite a few of those, so unfortunately, in the Pick'ems app, I think I went 7-3, but in the video itself, I think I had a couple extra losses there. I don't know. I have to scroll through that. I get done with this, but let's get straight to it, guys. We have the first game to talk about: the Memphis Tigers hosting the Tulane Green Wave. Tulane is -5. Last time I checked, actually, they're down to -4.5. I meant to update these lines, but it's all right. Yeah, both teams have higher powered offenses. Both teams, it should be a mid to higher scoring game. Memphis, I feel like Tulane's been the better team personally. I like Michael Pratt more than Hennigan. Hennigan's thrown a few picks this season, but this could come down to the wire. Memphis had a close one in Boise State. Memphis was down 17-0, and they came back to win. I like Tulane to win this game straight up and cover the spread. Should be a good one tomorrow night. Friday night game in Memphis. Crowd should be rolling there. Pretty important game to determine the top of the AAC, basically. We could see this rematch actually in early December in the AAC title game. I would think Tulane wins the AAC this year. We'll see, but should be a pretty good game actually. Next up, and also too, I meant to mention at the beginning of the video too, there is a annular solar eclipse happening Saturday. It is known, basically called the Ring of Fire eclipse. It's going to be path of totality. The area where it's going to be covered straight up at all the way is going to be from basically a slither from Utah down through Texas. So I was going to do something a little bit extra too for this. So the only game I meant to actually look through for the other games too, but it's alright. I was kind of hurried to get this done. This is one of the only games I know of, or the only game I know of that I'm picking that has the eclipse happening during it. It'll be 60% covered roughly. The sun will be, or in the second quarter. Alabama, number 11, Alabama Crimson Tide versus Arkansas Razorbacks. Alabama is around -19, -20. Crimson Tide feel like they're finding their stride now. We'll see if they win out. Not given, honestly. I still am a little skeptical about Jalen Milroe, but Arkansas has been a massive disappointment, honestly. More disappointing than I originally thought they were going to be. In this spot here of Alabama's defense playing better, I like Alabama to kind of slow down Arkansas a bit, score a bit too. Arkansas's defense is a bit of a joke, honestly. So, yeah, I don't really see this game really being close much for it. I mean, the first quarter could be close, but then after that, I think Arkansas or Alabama, I think they just pull away pretty convincingly here. Yeah, Alabama, of course, still fighting for the playoff spot. They're not out of the mix yet with that, so we'll see how it goes going forward for them. Next up, we have James Madison versus Georgia Southern. James Madison's currently a 4.5-point home favorite. Last time I checked, they're on a roll this season. A lot of their games have been close. Georgia Southern just took down Ball State by a lot. Another team I don't recall the name of, but I haven't really been paying attention to these other teams, smaller teams, really that much this season, with the exception of a couple like Air Force, for instance. Yeah, of course, James Madison. But yeah, this game should be a higher scoring game. I think the over/under in this game is like in the 60s. Should be close to that. I like James Madison at home, although Georgia Southern could actually win this game. I almost picked them actually to win. James Madison's pass defense is terrible. They give up over 300 passing yards a game. So I would anticipate Georgia Southern throwing really well in this one. This could come down to the wire. Should be a really fun game on Saturday at noon. The forecast, I think there's a chance of rain this one. I don't know. I meant to like I did with the NFL picks. I meant to look at the forecast from these games because that'll play a role. We'll see how it goes. Next up, this is the game of the week. College game day in Seattle, Washington for the number 7 Washington Huskies hosting the number 8 Oregon Ducks. Washington currently sits at -3. I had some critical stats for you with this game. Before I even get to that though, Washington, them and Ohio State, in my opinion, have two of the best receiving corps in the country. Dunze, I think the other guy's name is McMillan. The other guy's last name is Polk. I know that, but Those three guys, especially with Michael Penix at the helm, under the helm of the quarterback, absolutely insane. They post roughly 568 total yards of offense per game. Oregon's is 557 per game. So battle of juggernaut offenses in this one with Bucky Irving and Bo Nix on the other side of the helm and Troy Franklin. Washington in the last 10 games against Oregon is 3-7 straight up, including that 37-34 upset last year against at the time number 25 Washington at number 6 Oregon. In the last 6 games, Washington is 3-3 against the spread against Oregon. So this game will be this game's going to be ridiculously fun. Like, there's going to be a lot of this game's going to be quite insane. One thing I really need to address here: Oregon. People are talking about Oregon's defense. Oregon has one of the top defenses in terms of certain statistics. The thing is, the only team they have faced that has any legit passing game is against Texas Tech. And I understand the whole thing with Texas Tech and the revenge game with Tyler Shaw, but the thing is, Texas Tech had 480 yards of offense in that game, and the 4 turnovers didn't help. Not all of it was because Oregon's defense forced them. A couple of them were bad turnovers with Texas Tech. So let's not praise Oregon's defense. I'm honestly getting sick and tired of that, to be honest. I mean, Oregon's defense, I feel like, is good to an extent, but let's not get stupid and say that they're one of the best. I don't want to. It's ridiculous to say that, in my opinion. Yeah, they need to still prove it to me a bit more. Washington, let's not push it over the fact either that Washington's defense is pretty suspect. They're not exactly great. I still have Washington to win. We'll say Oregon covers. Laying 3 points is pretty daunting in this situation, considering Oregon's looking for revenge here. Oregon could definitely win. Matter of fact, the ESPN analytics do favor Oregon 54%, but I'm not agreeing with it at all. I think Washington will win this game. This game really determines, I think, who makes the playoff, in my opinion, from the Pac-12. I think the loser, decent chance they miss the playoff, but if that team can make it to the Pac-12 title game, then they can still probably have a chance, depending on who they face in the Pac-12 game. Pac-12 is going to be so ridiculous down the stretch. November is crazy enough for the schedule with the Pac-12 alone. Next up, let's move to Knoxville, Tennessee. Number 19, Tennessee Volunteers hosting the Texas A&M Aggies. Tennessee is minus 3.5 here in this game. Tennessee is kind of one-dimensional. They don't run the ball much. They throw a lot, but Milton's been a little disappointing at times, in my opinion. He's thrown 3 interceptions. I feel like it could be better. Tennessee defense is worse than last year. I'm not really buying Tennessee as a playoff team personally. Texas A&M, what a stinker they laid against Alabama. They should have won that game. Made me sick, honestly. By the way, I forgot to switch my Alabama pick in the college pick'ems thing to Texas A&M, so on there it counts as a correct pick. In the video, I picked A&M, so what are you gonna do about it? But right, that's one of those things. But A&M was just disappointing down the stretch in that game. I thought their defense just failed in the last bit. Their offense could be a little bit challenged down the stretch. Max Johnson, I think he held his own for the most part, but that offense just kind of didn't do it for me near the end. Texas A&M is going to have to play well here on the road. I think it's a manageable game here. Tennessee is 3-2 against the spread this year. A&M is 4-2 against the spread. I want to pick A&M, but I have trouble wanting to back them. I got Tennessee winning this game by 4 points. A&M could certainly win off their defense, but I don't know, man. That loss kind of just made me to the point where it put me in a spot where I just cannot get behind the Aggies at this point to pick them in this situation. I don't know. It's tough. There is going to be some wind with this one, too. It's going to be a little windy, too, just to keep that in mind. Next up, we have the Oklahoma State Cowboys hosting the number 23 Kansas Jayhawks. As it stands, Kansas is roughly a 3-point favorite. And it's pretty simple. Oklahoma State struck the upset against Kansas State. It's time for them to come back to reality. I like Kansas on the road here. I don't care. I don't really give a damn who's quarterbacking for Kansas. Kansas is winning this game. Oklahoma State all of a sudden just must be Kansas State. That is going to be one of the most random wins I've seen this season from a team who's honestly kind of pretty bad, honestly. Oklahoma State's not good at all. Remember, they got beat up by South Alabama at home, 33-7. Don't forget that. So this team is honestly kind of trash. And Kansas only being favored 3. I feel like that's a crime, but whatever. I don't care. If Kansas loses this game, there's a problem with Kansas, in my opinion. Enough said there. Next up, let's head to Pittsburgh, where the Pittsburgh Panthers are a 7.5-point home underdog against the number 14 Louisville Cardinals. Pitt is coming off the bye. This is Pitt's homecoming, from what I've heard. Louisville struck the upset against Notre Dame. They basically punched them right in the mouth last week and forced 5 turnovers in that game. The offense was clicking on all cylinders. But I feel like this is a trap game for Louisville. This is definitely a letdown spot. I like Louisville to win, but not cover. Louisville, to me, I don't know, man. Like they're a pretty solid team, but they got some question marks, man. They almost lost to Indiana, neutral site though, but still almost lost to them. I mean, they're on the road at NC State. That's a tough environment. They did win that game. I don't know, man. Louisville to me, I'm not 100% on them, but I'm not like completely off them, off the train, Louisville train. But yeah, Louisville, I don't know what to think, man. They got solid rosters. Just I don't know. We'll see how it goes down the stretch. Yeah, I think they face Miami in a couple weeks too. We'll see how it goes, but I think Pitt's gonna fight for it, especially in this game at home. I know they're not really a great team, but homecoming, a little extra energy, nighttime game, Louisville on the road. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one, in my opinion, tougher than you think. Next up, we have the number 22 LSU Tigers, -11 at home against the Auburn Tigers. Yeah, I I'm not exactly sure what to think of this one either. This game, LSU LSU has just no defense. I think it's pretty obvious LSU's defense was overrated from the start this season. Jaden Daniels played really well against Missouri. Auburn has a strange team, in my opinion. Peyton Thorne really leads that team, and that's really it on offense. But I do feel like Auburn's going to be kind of in this one just because of the fact that LSU's defense is just not that good. Even though they're at home, I like Auburn to keep it close. Auburn does have some bit of defense. I feel like they can work some magic in this one potentially on the road, but I think LSU wins. But I'll tell you what, I just really am not on LSU at this point. I know I correctly predicted them to win last week, but it's a hard time trusting Brian Kelly, especially. I mean, my goodness, I don't even know what to even say about them at all, nor with Auburn. So kind of a strange one here. LSU -11, a little much for me personally, even against a mediocre offense in Auburn. Next up, we have a very, very intriguing game here. We have the Texas Tech Red Raiders hosting the Kansas State Wildcats, the defending Big 12 champions. Texas Tech is -1.5 at home. I have some critical key stats here. Kansas State leads the series in 13-9, dating back to 2008. Kansas State also has the best rushing defense in the Big 12. They only give up 93.4 rushing yards in the Big 12 as of right now. Um, but man, Kansas State to me this year, man, they've been kind of phony a little bit. They're 0-2 on the road. They lost in Missouri. Then they got speared by Oklahoma State. I feel like even though it was a game like 8, that game wasn't close for much of it either. Texas Tech, without their starting quarterback, their backup quarterback threw for only 360 yards in the last 2 games. It's the first time since 1999 that Texas Tech won 2 straight games and have not thrown more than 200 yards in said games. They won 2 by a considerable amount. Now, let's not forget Houston, not very good, not really a great team, and they just blew it against West Virginia 2 earlier tonight. Baylor sucks. Kansas State's better than both those teams, but Kansas State kind of wishy-washy, man. I really don't know. You don't know what team you're. I mean, they are, I think, on paper, a better team, but I'm just not seeing them winning here. Lubbock, it's home Friday night, but I almost switched to Kansas State, but I do think Texas Tech wins. I'm probably going to pay for this one, so if I do. I deserve it, to be honest. Next up, we have Georgia State versus Marshall. Georgia State's -1, and personally, I like Marshall in this game. From what I've seen with some of the data, I kind of like Marshall here. Marshall showed me quite a bit against NC State. maybe they're due to have a letdown in terms of an offensive performance, but Georgia State just got trounced by Troy. Um, yeah, I'm not so sure. This is a tough one. I don't know a whole lot about these two teams, but this game was in my college pick'em, so I decided to throw it in here, give it a shot. I think this should be a tight game either way. Next up, we have the Air Force Falcons, who are minus 10.5 against the Wyoming Cowboys. This should be a very interesting matchup here. Air Force is a really good team. Um, Best team in the Mountain West. Yeah, probably, I'd say at this point. Wyoming, though, not far behind. They're really trying to answer that question as a yes, obviously, or with a yes. Wyoming's ground game defense, run game defense is not really that all that pleasing. They gave up quite a bit. I think their last matchup from what I read too, Air Force is a pretty good team. I like Air Force to win actually here, but I think Wyoming's defense keeps them in it. Lower scoring probably in this one, but since it's at Air Force especially, I like them here at home. They should go 6-0. Air Force might be ranked, honestly, here soon, too. So they got votes to be ranked, just to remember that. And also, meant to mention earlier, James Madison's got votes to be ranked as well. Next up here, let's head up to South Bend, where the number 21 Notre Dame Fighting Irish, big game here against the number 10 USC Trojans. Notre Dame coming off the last 3 games, exhausting 3-game stretch. They're probably tired at this point. Notre Dame's got to keep it together. This is a team that had really high expectations this year, and they have already blown that. They're not going to be in the playoff this year. They're pretty much done with that one. Notre Dame's -3, though. Analytics really liking Notre Dame this matchup. A lot of people are not picking Notre Dame because of what happened against Louisville, and I understand that. USC, though, I think some people forget, USC just really isn't cutting it, man. They should have lost against Arizona. That game was terrible for USC. Are you kidding me? You're going to sit there and tell me that USC is a playoff team? I don't think so, dude. And then Lincoln Riley, man, just get his ass away from a microphone or anything of that nature. Because if I had to hear him talk one more time about his team, I'm going to literally, I swear, I'm going to pound an entire bottle of vodka or something because I do not ever want to hear him talk again. He's really over here going to say that, well, there's really nothing wrong with our team. There's blah, 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 blah. Your defense is one of the worst in the country. I don't care if you have the 4th most sacks in the country right now as a whole. They got like 22 in the season, but or whatever the number was. I don't even recall, but I just saw they had one of the better sack rates in the, I don't know, whatever it is. The thing is, yeah, USC's, their offense is amazing. They average 52 points a game. Caleb Williams is the front runner of the Heisman Trophy right now. But you know what? Notre Dame here, they're in a tough spot. Basically, everyone I know, except for one person, that's my great friend and coworker, Ryan, at work. I think he's thinking Notre Dame wins this game. But everyone else right now, I think, is picking USC. I think my dad, though, might be leading Notre Dame this game, too. I don't know. But also, the forecast, not going to be great. It's going to be windy. It's going to be occasional showers, chilly. That favors Notre Dame. Again, I know they're exhausted. But Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams, the rest of the USC football team, you could take your college football playoff hopes and throw it in the damn trash. Yeah, I got Notre Dame to win and cover this game. Or, yeah, pretty much. If you could buy it down to 2.5, do it, or take Notre Dame money line at this point. Definitely also hammer the under, because I think the over-under in this game is like 61. Get the under because there's no way this game's going over. I would be surprised if it does. Notre Dame's defense last week did not really hold well against that Louisville offense, but they're at home. They play well at home usually. Hopefully they don't wear those green jerseys. Oh Lord, they do. I might switch my pick actually because man, I don't know about that, but yeah, I got a feeling Notre Dame is going to win this game. You have to back. This is the time to back them here. Don't back USC. Everyone's going to back USC because, well, they got the best offense. They got one of the best offenses in the country. I get that. Understandable, but this is a much different environment they're not used to, especially the weather. Let's keep that in mind. A lot of time spent on that. Sorry about that. By the way, I forgot some stats on that one for you. Notre Dame leads that series 48-37-5 all time. USC has only won 2 games against the spread this year. Notre Dame's 4-2-1 against the spread this year. Notre Dame also, after a loss against the spread, is 3-2 since 2021. Also, they're 2-1 outright after a double-digit loss since 2021. So, yeah. All right, moving on. Sorry, I forgot about all that because I was on a rant there. Number 12, North Carolina Tar Heels. Number 12, yeah. Kind of weird, I know. Hosting the number 25 Miami dumbass Hurricanes. North Carolina is minus 3.5 at home. North Carolina is, in my opinion, the strangest team ranked. They are, especially in the top 15. They're, in my opinion, I really don't think they're a top 15 team. They're honestly, they're barely a top 25 team, in my opinion. The only team they have faced that really gave them a push was Appalachian State. Double overtime. And the week before that, they faced South Carolina, but South Carolina's offensive line is horrendously bad. North Carolina, they shredded Syracuse last week, but Syracuse, I told you, was overrated. 4-0 start. Whatever. Miami. Fire Mario Cristobal right now. What the hell was that last week? You cannot seriously be... I thought I was seriously... You would think you're dreaming, but you weren't. Miami could have kneeled. No, they turned it over. On 3rd down, on a run. That is one of the... that might be the worst way to go out I've ever seen in any sport, honestly. So Miami, yeah, they're going to be coming back in this one. They're mad. Trust me, they're mad. They want to get back on track here. No one's going to back them. North Carolina, a little overrated in my opinion. Drake May in that offense has been cooking, but he has thrown a few interceptions this season. I think Miami's defense could do a few things, even though they were a 19-point favorite last week and they lost, of course, outright. I know this pick is not going to make me any friends, but I got Miami to upset North Carolina. This is the time to fade North Carolina. I don't care how Miami does it. I think they win this game. Tyler Van Dyke and company, I think that offense will absolutely burn through that North Carolina defense. That North Carolina defense, to me, isn't even all that. North Carolina's offense, I think, has a little bit of trouble here against that Miami. Miami's defense is okay, actually. They're not bad, you know. So I think they can slow things down a little bit. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game overall. I think both offenses shine through pretty well in this one. We'll see. But give me Miami to win this game and get back on track. By the way, it's worth mentioning Miami faces Clemson next week. And then a couple weeks later, November 11th, guess who Miami faces? On the road. Florida State. Not really why I'm picking them. I just forgot to mention that for you. Next up, we have... Wow, I forgot to edit the location. My bad. I wanted to get this out of the way. In Lexington, Kentucky, not South Bend, Indiana. Trust me, that's an accident. Number 24, Kentucky Wildcats hosting Missouri Tigers. So this one could go either way. Home field advantage will lean Kentucky in this one. Missouri, to me, a little overrated, but their offense, you know, they have the offense in this game to win. They do. Their offense, arguably, they have the better quarterback, but just for some reason, I'm not feeling them. And I don't know, man. They like I said, they were due to lose. They finally lost. They really don't have much of a defense. Kentucky has kind of a better defense. I don't even know how you want to say that. Kentucky has the better running game. Ray Davis could run all over Missouri in this one. We'll see. They could control the clock, force some mistakes from Missouri's passing game if they have to beat more of a rush. I know Devin Leary isn't that great, but I don't know. I might pay for this one too, just like it with Texas Tech one. Next up, let's go over to the Pacific Northwest. Let's go back there for a game. Another Pac-12 matchup. This one, Pac-12 after dark. Booyah. Number 15 Oregon State Beavers. Minus 3.5 against the number 18 UCLA Bruins. This is a really difficult game. This actually was the toughest one for me to pick, man, because there's many different ways this game can go. Oregon State, man, which version of DJ Uiagalelei shows up? Good Lord, think I even got that right at all. I'm pretty sure I didn't. It didn't sound right. Whatever. I just probably call him DJ at this point. His last name is just impossible to pronounce. Sure, I'll get it one day. But yeah, or DJ, which version of him shows up? He threw 5 touchdowns last week. It's possible Oregon State has a letdown on offense this week. Their defense, kind of overrated. Their passing defense isn't really all that astonishing. They do give up like 200 plus yards passing per game. UCLA, another tough road test here. Can Dante Moore figure it out on the road? My answer is no. I think the difference here is the fact that Oregon State has more experience. I know UCLA's got technically the better defense and statistically, but at home, it's a Saturday evening night game in Corvallis. Yeah, I like Oregon State here. Tough one though. It can go either way. If you were to tell me you're picking UCLA, I wouldn't argue with you about it for sure. Final game to pick here. Let's go to Durham, North Carolina, with a number 17 Blue. I almost did it again. Just like a couple weeks ago. I almost called them the Duke, whatever, Blue Devils. Good Lord, that was embarrassing. Wow, Duke Blue Devils. It is like 12:10 a.m. by the way. They're minus 3 at home against the NC State Wolf Pack. Shout out to my cousin Dawn. She went to NC State. Yeah, Duke, Riley Leonard, he may not play in this game. Remember, he had the ankle injury. They're coming off the bye. I'm gonna presume he plays for some reason. I don't know why. If they say he's progressing well, this should be a defensive battle. NC State started their backup quarterback, and NC State was in an offensive shootout last week. I think their offense comes back to reality this week. They're at Duke. Duke's defense, definitely one that is very strong at home. I like a really low-scoring, ugly brawl here. I might switch my pick. I'm not completely confident in Duke winning, honestly. If Riley Leonard is out for this game, I think I'm switching NC State. You guys will know that firsthand. I hope you guys take care. That was my picks, though, for Week 7 college football. We're going to keep rolling along. Next week, we have a few big games, especially including Ohio State, Penn State. Don't want to miss it. See you guys then. Thanks.